don't think you can hoop.
What?
I
definitely can't hoop. Well, I can hoop. I'm probably still better than you at hooping as well. But I'm definitely
You ain't better than me in nothing.
Darts.
And talking, that's it.
Talking?
Cause you talk a good game. You ain't
Darts.
better than me in nothing.
Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Nothing.
Darts.
Today.
You're very nervous today. I don't know what's wrong with you.
I've been here.
Your energy's all off.
I've been here.
I'm worried about you on Saturday.
Last time I recall,
Boxing pros have warned Terence Crawford not to fight Israel Madremov promoter EDDI HEARN envisions a knockout triumph for Madremov when he faces Crawford in their upcoming bout. HEARN believes this bout is the catalyst that will propel Madremov to stardom, envisioning him as a future superstar following a victory over Crawford in what he sees as a pivotal match. EDDI HEARN on X, he's ready to knock out Terence Crawford in Los Angeles. This is the fight that turns Israil Madremov into a superstar. If Madremov at 29 manages to overcome Crawford, it would send ripples through the boxing world. Most fans consider Crawford invincible, with some even speculating that he might soon step up to super middleweight to challenge Canelo Alvarez in early 2025. Madremov boasts both the power and flair to trouble Crawford, but he falls short in stringing together the combinations necessary to outshine the Nebraska native. Relying on isolated strikes won't be enough to best Crawford. If Madremov had the knockout power of legendary punchers like Julian Jackson, his one-punch ability would change the game entirely, but he's not built like that. With such explosive power, his inability to string together combinations against Crawford wouldn't be an issue. He'd land a decisive blow sooner or later. Canelo's recent performance against the rather unremarkable Hamongia cast doubt on his ability to fend off Crawford before considering a showdown with Canelo. Crawford needs to first prove himself against Madremov on August 3rd. This bout will serve as a crucial litmus test to gauge if Crawford can effectively transition to 168 lobes for the challenge ahead. Should Crawford overcome both Madremov and Canelo, His Excellency Turkey Alec will need to create a new challenge for him. The next step could see Crawford advancing to the 175-pound division to face formidable opponents like BBV Dimitri Bivol and David Benovitz. Returning to the 154 PB division would seem futile if Crawford emerges triumphant against Canelo. Of course, they have plans, and they're thinking ahead of what's going to happen next. I have plans too. My plans are to get the victory on August 3rd, said Madremov to Fight Hype. Discussing his thoughts on Crawford, Madremov is irked by Crawford's apparent disregard for him as he sets his sights on a bout with Canelo. However, this shift in focus only reassures Madremov of Crawford's confidence in his own victory. Now it's up to Madremov to demonstrate to the 36-year-old Crawford that he's made a grave mistake in underestimating him. I'm concentrating on this fight against Terence Crawford. I don't think about anything else. I'm there to win the fight, and after the fight, we can talk about everything else, said Madremov. His helping out Terence Crawford may help him, but maybe not. We'll see in the ring, said Madremov about Andre Ward assisting Crawford with sparring. He added, if it's something that motivates him and helps him, good for him. Bell is helping me prepare for the fight. Crawford and Andre Ward sparred, but it's not a huge deal because Crawford's technique isn't similar to Madremav's, and he didn't look very fit in the videos of them working out. We choose our path. His path was in professional boxing, and my path was in amateur boxing, said Madremov, explaining why he only has 11 fights as a pro compared to Crawford's 40. He added, so I went on to win multiple world titles as an amateur. Madremav's extensive amateur career probably gives him an edge over Crawford's professional experience, while Madremov has squared off against numerous top-tier opponents in the amateur ranks. Crawford's pro res includes several bouts with lesser-known fighters, both at the beginning and later in his career. Madremov said, once we got into the pros, we went the hard way. We chose the hard path, with all 10 fights being tough fights. 6 of them were title eliminators, and all of them were tough, so stiff competition. Yes, he's more known, but that's my opportunity. Former WCC interim junior middleweight champ Brian Mendoza is taking a stand against the prevailing skepticism from oddsmakers and fans who doubt Israil Madremav's ability to defend his WBA junior middleweight title against Terence Crawford. Mendoza believes it's a miscalculation to think Crawford will easily handle Madremov, stepping up to 154 lobes and facing a formidable puncher like Madremov could pose a significant challenge for Crawford. With no experience at this weight class and unaccustomed to the sheer power of Madremov's punches, Crawford might find himself in a difficult position. The odds makers are probably still leaning on Crawford's performance from his last bout with Errol Spence a year back, expecting a similar outcome against Madremov. However, Madremov lacks Spence's renown and hasn't accomplished as much in his career. It's common for fans and the media to overlook fighters who aren't frequently in the spotlight. If Crawford hasn't lost a step since his last bout a year ago and his power therefore translates well to the 154 pounds division. He could emerge victorious. On the other hand, Madoff remains a mystery to American audiences as his bouts haven't been featured on network TV in the US. Mendoza expressed that while he does believe in Crawford's capabilities, he feels Madoff is being underestimated. He pointed out that the odds are surprisingly high and shouldn't be so skewed. Mendoza emphasized that Madoff is a very strong fighter who is determined to defend his title, which Crawford will have to earn by taking it from him.
I do think so, but Madremov, I think they're writing him off a little too much. I think the odds are, like something crazy. I don't think the odds should be that far out there. Madremov is a very strong fighter. He's coming forward. He's gonna come, to defend his title. He already has that title. That's something Crawford's really gonna have to take from him.
Madoff's formidable punching power, dynamic striking, youthful energy, and eccentric style will present a formidable challenge for Crawford. If Crawford expects to face a fighter like Errol Spence, he might be in for a rude awakening. On August 3rd, Mendoza said that while he leans towards Crawford, he doesn't understand why people are counting out Madoff to such an extent. He believes the fight will be very difficult, drawing a comparison to the challenge posed by the Spence fight.
Well, I do lean towards Crawford, but I don't see why people are counting Madremov out to that extent, because I think it's going to be very different from
He dismissed Madoff simply because he's flown under the radar for most fans who haven't witnessed his fights firsthand. He also hasn't yet squared off against opponents of Crawford's caliber, leaving him relatively unknown in the eyes of many. They've seen Crawford in action numerous times before and have always been impressed by his performance. However, Crawford has yet to face someone with Madoff's skill level, which could pose a challenge, especially considering Crawford's age and a 13-month layoff. Mendoza commented on Madoff's tendency to drop his lead hand during fights, stating that it's a habit he has developed over the years. He noted that despite Madoff's intentions to take the fight seriously and keep his hand up, breaking such a long-standing habit is challenging.
It's a habit that you've created, so even though you can say, like, all right, I'm going to take it serious, I'm not going to drop my hands, it's a habit you've been creating.
Madoff's tendency to keep his lead hand low might not be his main concern when facing Crawford. His bigger challenge could come from Crawford's agility, sharp jab, and pinpoint accuracy. He's elusive and tough to land a punch on while he's in motion, and only when Crawford plants his feet does he become vulnerable. Crawford frequently engages his opponents within striking range by clinching them and then using his wrestling skills to gain the upper hand. Fighters who aren't prepared for Crawford's grappling tactics will find themselves at a distinct disadvantage. Mendoza expressed hope that Madoff is addressing his tendency to drop his lead hand, recognizing the high caliber of his current opponent and showing respect for Crawford's skills. He emphasized that he fully expects Madoff to be working on correcting this habit, as it is something Crawford would quickly exploit.
For years. So those are things hopefully he's working on, because I guarantee you he knows the caliber of fighter that he's in there with right now, and that he's respecting it. So I would fully hope, that he's working on stuff like that, because that's something.
Madoff typically keeps his lead hand low while maneuvering on the outside. Once he's in striking distance, he raises his hands and employs clever angles to dodge incoming blows. His footwork mirrors Lomachenko, making him a challenging target to hit. Madoff's dynamic mobility, raw power, youthful energy, and precision shots might pose significant challenges for Crawford. This matchup could serve as a stark reality. Make sure to check out some of our other videos on the screen if you enjoyed this one.